How hard was it tonight to get this win?
Man, first off, I just want to give all glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, look how good God is. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, we've been working our tails off for the last 6 months, and I'm just so proud of my group, and man, not a lot of words, just excitement.
You've been working so hard to improve your decision-making, have composure. In tough moments tonight, when your back was against the wall, how did that serve you well?
Yeah, I think it helped a lot. I mean, you know, it was a sloppy football game for us as an offense. Obviously, it's not something that we're extremely excited about. You know, we turned the ball over early, and we shot ourselves in the foot a couple times, but I think it was just a great team win. And how about our defense? I mean, sticking up for us. I mean, allowing 10 points to one of the better offenses in the country. I'm just so proud of those guys, and I'm excited for our offense to get to work and get things right.
That last play, Harold Perkins, he's just off an ACL tear, and he makes that play. What does that mean to the team and this brotherhood?
It means everything. I mean, Perkins is an unbelievable football player, and so for him to be able to be in the position to make that play, I'm just so happy for him and so proud of him as a player. And nothing much to be said. I mean, our defense did an unbelievable job tonight.
I'm looking at the sign that says Clemson welcomes you to Death Valley. What right does this win give you to say that it's really in Baton Rouge?
Man, I can't wait to get on the plane and head back to Death Valley, baby. Let's do it.
And we say happy Wednesday to you on a gorgeous middle of the week hump day here in the capital city of Baton Rouge, September 3rd. Buddy Songy in the house along with my co-host, producer, and the straw that serves the drink over here, Jonathan Poche. Folks, for the first time in 6 years, we are coming to you after an LSU opening game where the Tigers have finally flipped the script and got a W. As everybody knows, an incredible weekend, week one of college football. And if you didn't have a great time, we saw all of the craziness with Arch Manning. Everybody basically saying he's the next coming of Tim Tebow and great quarterbacks. They laid an egg opening it up. And then Alabama looked like an eighth-grade team just getting together for their third practice. They got beat by Florida State. And then, of course, the one that everybody was worried about and cares about, LSU at Clemson. Tigers played good enough to win for a first game. We talked about a lot of the things that you were going to see. We talked about getting rid of it under 2.5 seconds. We talked about this defense. We talked about the fact that the transfer portal had treated LSU nicely. And that being said, I think the most convincing thing that has everybody fired up, JP, is that now you've got a defense that you can hang your hat on. And when you have a defense that plays a lot of guys, you have a chance to be in every football game. So 1-0 for the Tigers, catapulted up from 9 in both polls to 3 in the AP, 4 in the coaches poll, and of course Houston, Louisiana Tech out at Tiger Stadium this weekend, 6:30, streaming on SEC Network Plus and ESPN Plus. JP, long time since we've opened up. You know, all the last 5 years or so, JP, we've had to have our sunglasses on, but not this week unless we're talking about the SEC office and officiating. And I'm in too good a mood to throw around any F-bombs, but they are as dirty as the Mississippi River. Hello, everybody. How about yourself, JP? How are you doing, my man? And it's nice to start off with a W for a change for LSU.
Yes, indeed, Bud, man. Happy to be here on Tigers Roar talking about a Week 1 W for Coach Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. Of course, all off season, Bud, man. Have to admit, I was worrying. And I got to give you flowers here on this show before we get into it. You were right, Bud, man, about a whole lot. I was worried about the offensive line. I said, Bud, man, all we're returning is DJ Chester. How are we going to fill an offensive line? You said, JP, don't worry. Braylon Moore, great center coming in. He's going to take control, and certainly he was in control of the line. Braylon Moore, SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week at this performance at Clemson. I was also worried about the linebackers, Bud, man. Harold Perkins, Whit Weeks, both coming off major injuries. You said, JP, they're flying around this offseason. Looks like they never had surgery. both of those guys. Huge impacts on the game, absolutely flying around the ball, sideline to sideline. You saw Perk call game at the end, but it was really a complete defensive effort. You talked about the defensive ends, the guys they brought in, Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, every down players now for the Tigers. Immediate impacts. Harold Perkins doesn't call game at the end without Patrick Payton playing unselfish, taking his man out to play. Of course, we knew Garrett Nussmeier would be outstanding, but all the offensive weapons that they brought in on the outside, I thought Nick Anderson was going to have a huge impact in this game, and he did, absolutely. That blocking on the outside and downfield was absolutely outstanding for the Tigers. They struggled at first to run the football. Of course, Caden Durham, very low to the ground, had a good run his first carry, was kind of stifled until the second half. Saw Garrett Nussmeier pick up a huge first down with his legs. Aaron Anderson, who was banged up in the offseason, you said, don't worry, this guy's going to be back in time. He had a huge impact on the game. 99 yards in receptions, led the Tigers, made plays all game. But, man, I was worried about the DBs. You said this guy, Mansour Delane, is coming in. He's going to be a stud. And he was an absolute stopper on Saturday. Shut down, only gave up one catch. Had the huge interception, got the game ball from Coach Brian Kelly. So, Bud, man, just got to give you your flowers. You hit the nail on the head. LSU was way better than I gave them credit for going into week one. I was nervous. I had Clemson winning by 8 points, but, hey, they proved me wrong and a lot of other people wrong. Got the big win, and now, hey, the momentum is rolling. Looking forward to La Tech in week 2.
Every now and then we get one right, and it was good. I will say, first of all, we were so adamant about what you and I had talked about because BK, Brian Kelly, gave us more access than ever before. Look, when we're able to sit out there and shoot for 15 minutes, in the previous they would say, okay, go bye-bye, we'll talk to you with player interviews or coaches interviews. JP, he let us stay out there. And, you know, we've been looking at football, and you and I talk about football. You know football, I know football. But let's give the credits to the players and the coaches. We can talk about it until the cows come home, but they actually had a really good game plan. I thought they were a little conservative on offense at first, but then they got into the flow of things. JP, I thought it was a genius move. So many times you have 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and you have Nuss in the shotgun, and all of a sudden he's talking about calling signals, and he steps right up in there and effectively runs the quarterback sneak a couple times. Also had a run-pass option where he took off, and I think had he not gotten hurt in the fall camp, just banged up a little bit, he might have gone for 20 instead of 10 in the first down. As we said, Caden Durham's a super running back. All you do is give him a little space. Look, not everybody performed up to the level. Chris Hilton will be appreciably better this weekend. We know that some guys had some silly penalties, but for the most part, this was a dominating football game for a team. And I'm going to hold up the number of times, and I don't have big hands, but 5 times in LSU history they have gone on the road and taken down a top 5 team. This is the first time for BK, but it's only happened 5 times in LSU history, JP, which tells you just how tough it is. But Dabo, all I can say is you need a reality check because if you gave LSU 65 and your team 58, I don't think, like BK had a good comeback, I don't think you wanted to watch the second half. And, JP, that gets back to this thing that we talked about. Defense is going to have to carry this team early. Not only was Pyburn and those guys better, Patrick Payton was fantastic. Jamari Butler from Nebraska, number 12, was outstanding. Bernard Gooden, all these guys that we brought into the portal. I'll give you, for instance, Bauer Sharp catches a ball, fumbles on a good hit, and runs his butt off to go downfield and lunge and tackle that guy. JP, that's 6.
Yep.
That's 6 instead of 3 if he doesn't do that. So they didn't play perfect, but any of you Tigers fans that hadn't seen the replay, it'll be replayed again sometime this week on the SEC Network. But to have a shutout at Clemson. Oh, by the way, Clemson has now lost 3 consecutive opening games. Clemson has also lost 4 consecutive games to the SEC. And let's be honest, comparing 81,000 to 102, their version of Death Valley, look, they do a good job. but it's not a candle to the real Death Alley. And, of course, you Tiger fans will have a chance to go out there. Don't sleep on Louisiana Tech. LSU a big prohibitive favorite. But, JP, no rest for the weary. Next week after Louisiana Tech, Florida comes in here. So, a great opening win, but, everybody's got to be cognizant of the fact that I know it's coach speak, one game at a time. All you're trying to do is go 1-0 each week. And, JP, it sounds sappy, but with social media and the way these kids interact, you got to keep them off their phones and keep them focused. Otherwise, they start to smell those roses. They start to smell that cologne, those flowers.
Yeah, and Bud, man, if the coaching staff would have did a bad job, this team would have been unprepared. The game plan would have been bad. We would have definitely threw them under the bus, blamed the coaches, no doubt. So we got to give them their credit.
Sure.
This game plan, both offense and defense, was spot on. I thought, pulling out Xavier Thomas from the outside, get him the handoff, get him the carries. It was a great wrinkle from Joe Sloan. Talk about a 2.14 average of getting the ball out of your hand for Garrett Nussmeier. The ball was coming out quick. He put on a master class like Drew Brees used to do, knowing exactly where his checkoffs, where his dump down was, knew where the ball was going before the ball was snapped, which really gives credit to his pre-snap abilities to read defenses, know what they're trying to do to him, his preparation going into every weekend. Garrett Nussmeier is the captain of the ship. I mean, you can't have a better one for LSU fans. He put on a clinic this weekend, showed he's the best quarterback in the class, took on a good one in Clay Kubiak. You saw what Arch Manning did. Everybody's screaming nepotism now that we went through the whole Shedeur Sanders experiment. And it's going to be a fun year of college football, Bud, man. It was a different feeling on Sunday, waking up this year, having the LSU Tigers get off to a 1-0 start. And a lot of people gave Brian Kelly some heat for it. It's kind of sappy. 1-0 is going to win one game. And, like you said, start reading the headlines, start drinking the Kool-Aid. But every week, 1-0, I think this team has outstanding leadership, very grounded, very mature, and there's too much talent to deny. Going to be a problem on defense all year, getting after the quarterback. They're going to be a problem to block. Bernard Gooden, absolutely outstanding first step in that middle, was causing pressure in Cooper's face all game, caused him to rush out. I thought Harold Perkins was the Harold Perkins of old. They unleashed him, let him do the spy at the very end, their most effective defensive play. But the cornerbacks, P.J. Woolen, Mansour Delane, the freshman, D.J. Pickett, a lot of people didn't even know he was on the field. I mean, the 6'5 quarterback was blanketing receivers. The coaching staff trusted him so much that Adam Stamps had trouble even seeing the field. That kid's very talented, played a lot of football for LSU. So lots to be encouraged about. But like you said, no time to put your foot off the gas. Got to take care of Louisiana Tech, who just put it on Southeastern, a very good program out there in Hammond, America. Coach Selfo does a good job for Southeastern. So they're coming in fired up. Coach Brian Kelly, you hear from later on in this program. He knows, every time you play an in-state school, it's the biggest game of their career. It won't be any different this Saturday against La Tech. So it's going to be a great environment, obviously, open up at Tiger Stadium for this 2025-2026 season. But a lot to be encouraged about, Bud, man. Happy to get off with a start and with a win.
Couple of other tidbits, and we'll take our first break. BK should have definitely taken the field goal. I know you were screaming at the TV, and for some reason, he's got this analytics card, and I think they need to burn the card because you've got to coach by feel. Clemson gets the second half kickoff. You're down 10-3, and folks, the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same behavior and expecting a different result. So somebody's got to get it in his ear and tell him a little bit better about when to take a field goal and when not to. He did admit that he made a faux pas, so let's hope that he gets better at that. The second thing, and JP and I and Marty and I talked about it, we don't ever want to forget Marty Campbell and what he does for Pelican, all of our great people, all of our great shows, but these two guys are really the glue of this station. But I'll just tell you this, folks. I mentioned that the SEC office and officiating, that guy, Daniel Gautreaux, is from Lafayette, Louisiana, a USL man who hates LSU. And all I can tell you is that they miss so many calls, but it's real simple in the game of football. When you cross the end zone and you go through the plane of an end zone, I don't care if you're running back or wide receiver or whatever, it's a touchdown. Caden Durham got through, broke the plane of the end zone, touchdown, then fumbled. So why is it different with Barry and Brown, who catches the ball? Everybody in the country says it's a touchdown, and then they've got some lame-ass review and rule that you've got to go to all the ground and then JP, it's the craziest thing in the world. How many times, folks, if you see a wide receiver and you stretch the ball at the cone or over the goal line, it is a touchdown. I don't want to hear all that BS. So Kelly said this has been coming back ever since the last 4 or 5 years. The NFL's had this problem, and it's matriculated down to college. But I can tell you this. Dabo Swinney would have gone crazy if it had been Clemson and that call was taken off the board. He was going crazy about a pass interference call when his guy was holding on to a receiver for 10 yards. So, yes, I get spicy, but don't think you're going to get great officiating because the SEC does a poor job. And if you see Daniel Gotro again, you know you're more than likely you're going to get the worst side of things. Grounding, targeting, all the others, ridiculous refereeing. Quick timeout. I'll shut up. We'll come back with more on a Wednesday edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
Move and be moved by these savings right now at Team Mazda. Choose a new 25 Mazda CX-50, Mazda CX-70, or Mazda CX-90 and get low 1.9% financing. Discover the Mazda experience and save right now at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda.
When I started this practice over 35 years ago, I had one goal: to treat every patient like family. And over the years, I've watched kids grow up in this office, come back as parents, and now I'm seeing their kids in the same chair. That kind of trust, it's not something we take for granted. This isn't just where we do dentistry, it's where we make people feel at home. Frugier Family Dentistry, where you treat it like family. Call or visit FrugierFamilyDentistry.com to schedule.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
And we welcome you back here on a Wednesday morning, taping Tigers Roar for you. Look, we're going to try to do these shows just about every week here in the season. Of course, I have taken off the jacket and gone the casual look. JP, let's get into the highlights right out of the gate. Great atmosphere, waiting all day for this puppy. And, of course, LSU on the road at Clemson. Tigers, of course, here we go, right out of the gate. And a great disguise with a cornerback blitz, P.J. Woodland.
Yeah, love the call, Bud, man. Blitzed all night from all over the field, but it really takes 1 of 11. You got to do your job, open up those holes. But P.J. Woodland, great timing right here, straight to the quarterback. You saw Jack Pyburn really set it up with an up the field blitz, but great tackle, way to get the quarterback on the ground.
And then, of course, here we go, the short dink and dunk, JP. We talked about this. Here's the Bauer Sharp. Watch him come back and hustle and make the tackle.
Yeah, but, man, really, that's a touchdown without Bauer Sharp's commitment to the chase down. So, great job. Disappointing we lost the fumble, but he's had a great camp. He's going to have a great season for LSU.
They get on the board with a nice field goal. It's 3-0 Clemson. And, of course, there we go. Here we go. Once again, a quick slant. Aaron Anderson, he doesn't usually get taken down by the first defender, JP.
Yeah, Aaron Anderson, 6 catches, 99 yards, did lead the Tigers. Such a dynamic playmaker. Here's a handoff to Xavier Thomas. Get him out the backfield with the handoff. Great carry, good vision. Such a natural carrier of the football ball, man. Happy to see him get some more touches.
No doubt about it. And here we go once again as LSU with a little play action here. And boom, cut back. And as you alluded to, vision as a running back is almost as important as how big you are and how fast you are. Here's Nussmeier once again going over the middle, and you know it's got to be that man, number 1, Aaron Anderson. I'm sorry, that's Xavier Thomas.
Yeah, that was max protect, but, man, Garrett Nussmeier did a great job. Coming back to the third read, the inside dig across his back shoulder. Here's the 1 sack of the game LSU did give up. It was good pressure. Sometimes taking the sack is the right play. I believe that was the case right there, bud, man.
Big play right here. I don't know if people were confident, but Damian Ramos worked on his speed and his strength and his distance. Hits a 52-yardage 3-3.
Yeah, but, man, at this point, 6 minutes left in the first half. You're happy with the 3-3 tie. This is a play where Mansour Delane absolutely gets crushed. Should have been offensive pass interference or a crackback at the very least. Officiating was lost. They said the ball was thrown behind the line of scrimmage, so it counted as a screen. But great pressure right here by Perk. It went down as a sack after the review. Did get there in time. Kubit's knee was on the ground.
Here we go. If you play in football, you've got to use your legs and you got to get lower. And JP, just a big running back pushing in for the score. It's now 10-3, and LSU's driving down the field. And, of course, this is a big catch right here, almost an INT.
Yeah, going into the halftime, bud, man, in the scoring zone, got to get some points right here. LSU does choose to go for it. Here's another nice play right here designed by Xavier Thomas. Throws to a wide-open Aaron Anderson. So that was the one-of-one completion for Xavier Thomas for 17 yards. He did a little bit of everything for the Tigers. Getting back to right before halftime, bud, man, here's the 4th and 2. The decision by Brian Kelly to go for it. Goes short to Chris Hilton, who had a tough penalty earlier in the drive. They went back to him and unfortunately ends in a fumble. I'm not sure he gets there even if he doesn't fumble, bud, man.
Yeah, 15 seconds with no timeout. It was big-time bad call by BK. He's got to start realizing the value of a field goal. And here's Aaron Anderson once again, puts his foot in the ground, and 25, 30 yards later, they get him down.
Love the middle screen, bud, man. It was a middle screen off of 4 wide. Great play design, getting creative, getting the ball to your playmakers in space. I love the play design. Here's Garrett Nussmeier, flushed out, rolls to the right, finds an open receiver. Kyle Parker, great job holding on to the football.
Kyle Parker, not the sexiest, but catches everything. And then, of course, as we said here, Caden Durham. Now, you just saw that, folks. He broke the plane of the goal line, touchdown, and then he fumbled. JP, for the life of me, I don't understand why running backs and wide receivers are looked at differently. But here we go. Mansour Delane, his first LSU INT on an overthrow Klubnik.
Yeah, really give credit to the defensive line. They had pressure and hits on the quarterback all game. It finally messed up his timing. Had to get a quick throw off. Patrick Payton pressure right in his face. Couldn't step up. Sails it high, and Mansour Delane had a fantastic game. Deserved the interception right there.
Man, I was sleeping on Patrick Payton. He played most of the game. He was phenomenal. And here we go. Caden Durham, number 29. He's going to be a great one, folks. 1,000-yard rusher by the end of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, really runs hard. Great first cut, gets up the field. Here's the Barry and Brown play that never was. Hey, if Auburn can claim 9 national titles in a random week in August, in my mind, that's always going to be a touchdown for Barry and Brown.
Well, of course, they, like I said, I've already been fired up. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but I just say this. If that was Alabama and Ryan Williams, I don't think it would have been taken off the board.
Great point. Here's a freak miss from Damian Ramos. Said he had cramps in his plant leg. Unfortunately, misses the long field goal attempt. The score stays tied. LSU defense holds strong. Here's the first play of the fourth quarter. Finding Trey'Dez Green. Tough run after the catch. Trey'Dez Green, great game, bud, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know I've been preaching. Use this guy as a big wide receiver, not a blocker down the end. And here we go, folks. This is just a little jump ball. He's 6'7", 245. The DB doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, but, man, not sure if you ever saw that movie Varsity Blues. They drew it up just like this. Four 4-1 out one way and one single covers to the other side. Trey'Dez Green, 7 inches on the DB. Great pressure right here by Weeks, making Kluba get the ball out.
Who was he throwing the ball to there? I didn't see a receiver anywhere.
But at least that time he was outside the pocket, Bud, man. So that one I can understand wasn't grounded. 2 horrible calls missed, though, from intentional grounded. More outstanding coverage right here by Mansour Delane.
Mansour Delane, folks, had like 40 plays his way, and he gave up 1 reception, had a breakup, an INT, and here's Dabo once again. I don't have much respect for Dabo after some of the things he said after the game. But bottom line, as you alluded to, JP, Blake Baker had Harold Perkins. Once Klubnik got outside the pocket a couple times, he said, all right, that's it. We're going to spy Harold Perkins, and that's why he was able to force the quick pass into no land.
And, of course, everybody's favorite formation at the end of the game. LSU lines up to take a knee. Garrett Nussmeier, of course, gets all the accolades he deserves. Great offseason. Finally had everybody on the same page week 1. Going in confident to a ball game. Once again, the pressure by Perk. Forces the incompletion. Great game by the defense, Bud, man. They played as one unit, but you have to give credit to Blake Baker. Did an outstanding job calling exotic pressures and having his team really all on the same page. Great communication from the backside was something they worked on hard this offseason. So congratulations to the Tigers.
Will Campbell, Miles Frazier, and some of the other players that were on this team last year were on the sidelines. It is a big-time team effort. And, folks, we leave you with this as we go to a quick break and let you hear from BK. This transfer portal group of 18, JP, they got paid, but they came in here with a purpose, to get LSU bigger, stronger, faster, meaner. And I can now say, for the first time in 4 years, LSU's got some physicality instead of being a finesse team. You don't realize when Butler, Payton, Pyburn, all those guys are coming in on this outside at 260 with speed makes a big difference. And, of course, Harold Perkins, excellent to see him in the right spot at the star position. Quick timeout. We come back with BK. What he had to say this week on a Monday, or actually a Tuesday press conference with the media out at LSU yesterday afternoon. Here we go, folks. Quick timeout. Back with Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Few things in life are as valuable as family and peace of mind, especially when it comes to your final arrangements, and that's where Lee Serio can help. His prepaid funeral plans make sure your life will be remembered exactly the way you want it to. With Lee Serio, no detail is too large or too small. Call Lee or his wife Gretchen at 225-315-6329. Let Lee Serio give you and your family the peace of mind you all deserve.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Right now is Tundra time at Team Toyota, where you can get 0% financing on a new 25 Tundra or get $3,000 customer cash plus $1,000 trade-in allowance. Find these savings and so much more right now at Team Toyota, I-12 and O'Neill.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
All right, folks, in case you missed it, LSU moved up to number 3 in the AP poll, number 4 in the coaches poll. Louisiana Tech this weekend. So as we said, SEC Network Plus, ESPN Plus. And as always, without further ado, JP, any comments before we get to BK? How did you think he handled it? And, of course, you got to go 1-0 each week. You cannot let this team smell all the roses and perfume. You got to stay focused. But anything you took from BK's press conference?
Yeah, I thought BK did a really good job, Bud, man. And I thought last week in his press conference prepping for Clemson, I thought he was really relaxed. And I didn't know if he was expecting the worst or expecting the best. And obviously he was very confident in his team. Like you said, they spent a lot of money in the transfer portal class, but obviously they went after a certain caliber of player, not even on the field, but the caliber of young man off the field. A lot of these young, like you said, came to work. They had a goal in mind. They wanted to be part of a group. They didn't want to have their own accolades. They wanted to have the group accolades. And that's when you have really special groups, when it's maintained from within. And I thought BK had his finger on the pulse. And I think it starts with the player leadership. And I think they have some of the best in college football in Garrett Nussmeier and Whit Weeks. But, yeah, you got to give credit to BK. He let his coordinators have great game plans and execute those game plans how they saw fit. And I think they did a good job, Bud, man.
Great shout-out to Joe Sloan on all those screens. Remember, I was talking about all that stuff. If they call the same thing they called when we were at practice, you're going to love it. A lot of dink and dunk, a lot of bubble, a lot of middle screens. And, of course, Blake Baker is a really, really good young defensive coordinator. Here's Brian Kelly meeting with the media out at LSU yesterday.
Okay, we'll open up with, obviously an opener here. Playing at Tiger Stadium is, such a special opportunity. So I know our guys and staff and fans and everybody associated with the program coming back to Tiger Stadium is pretty exciting. We got a lot of guys, I think like 45 guys that will be walking down Victory Hill for the first time. We were busy getting them, helping them secure suits, and so it's exciting. When you get a chance to open on the road and have some success, you build a lot of momentum. But then you take a look at now the opportunity to play at home. It heightens it even more. We've certainly feel great about what we accomplished, but our mantra this year is 1-0. So we celebrated that win 24 hours. We came in, had recovery on Sunday. Monday we went back to work, put that behind us, and focused on Louisiana Tech, and we want to go 1-0. And we have to replicate all the things that we did to get to 1-0. And that goal for us will be the same each and every year. So I know you guys hear this each and every week from me, but, we got a commitment from our guys that they want to do the hard things the right way. And that is, building great habits, following a process that's in place that is successful. And that's not easy because you just take a look at, the narrative leading into our first game. Our fan base was going to be eroding. The head coach is on the hot seat. They can't run the ball. They won't be able to stop the run. I mean, I could go on and on. We got, people taking shots at our process. It went on. And then 24 hours later, the same people said that we got one of the best teams in the country. So you can see how silly this is if you're just listening to those narratives. What we have to be focused on is what we can control on a day-to-day basis. And what we can control is how we prepare. And our preparation allowed us to play with great composure on the road in a very hostile environment. We competed on every play, but most importantly, we played with great confidence. Our guys believed going into the game that they were going to win the game, regardless of the situation. So that's what we're about, and we need to stay focused on that if we want to get to 1-0 this week. So a couple of things from the game. I think the thing that I'd like to point out is, I think it's easy to see energy and passion, and those things are important. Just working is not good enough. You have to have passion in what you do. And one of the things that stands out is there's a lot of passion on that defensive side of the ball. And with that passion is guys being selfless. I'll give you an example. Harold's play at the end of the game. He doesn't make that play unless our end, Patrick Pavement, gives himself up inside the C gap to collapse the tackle so we can get the wraparound. Or P.J. Woodland's sack earlier, where Jack Pyburn takes an upfield intentional rush to open up the D gap so he can get to the quarterback. And that happened pretty much the entire game. Guys playing their 111th across the board, and that's what Blake has been harping on. That's what we've been talking about in terms of how you play team defense. You first have to have a passion, because you got to run, hit, you got to get excited, but then you got to do your job, not somebody else's job. And we had a lot of that going on at times, and we'll continue to build on that. From an offensive standpoint, what I thought really stood out, and you guys are not going to like this, but the receivers have been talked about so much about their playmaking ability, and they certainly have it, and they have it in loads, but they block their tails off. And that's another indication of a selflessness to we need to run the football, and we can't run it unless we're getting guys blocking downfield, and we did. And I know this is not the sexy stuff that you guys want to talk about, but winning on the road is hard against the top 5 team, and you got to do the little things the right way. And I wanted to illustrate that and make sure that I gave them the accolades for that. Garrett Nussmeier, obviously the SEC Offensive Player of the Week, which you know, and Braylon Moore did an outstanding job in his first start at center, keeping that offensive line in a really good position all night. Louisiana Tech. I'll start with this. I have a lot of respect for Coach Cumbie and the way he works. I get a chance to see him virtually all summer in camps. He's one of the hardest working coaches I've seen in the industry, just doing whatever he can to continue to build his program and recruit, in particular, the state of Louisiana. And I give him great credit for that. Obviously, from a standpoint of in-state, we relish these opportunities to play in-state, but we also know that our opponent, this is the biggest game of their career for many of them. So we have to be prepared and certainly do the things that we need to do. Defensively, I think they play with great energy. Colby Fields is a former player here, leads their team. He was the Defensive Player of the Year in Conference USA. And it's, again, a team from an offensive standpoint that centers around the quarterback. So, again, we'll be challenged to stop the quarterback and the quarterback run. So I know that was a lot. Appreciate you taking the time to listen. I'll open it up to questions.
Coach, with the SEC going to a 9-game conference schedule, what do you think is sort of the future with games like this against a team like Louisiana Tech, with especially in-state schools, smaller schools?
Well, I still think there's a place. We're going to play 12, Koki. So, if you got 9 plus maybe we play one up in a Power 4, there's 10. I think the other 2 could very easily come from the state of Louisiana. So I would still be in favor of doing that and hope that we do moving forward.
Brian, I didn't have a chance to ask you after the game. Into the first half, 4th and 2, what happened there, and what did you learn from that going forward?
Well, the analytics call for a go on the 4th and 2. However, the mistake that I made on that is that we didn't have enough time on the clock to get in 4 plays. So analytics is also looking at how many plays can you get in to make that 4th and 2 worthwhile. Even if we got it, with only 1 timeout and the time left on the clock, it would not have given us the maximum opportunity on that go. So that was a mistake on my part. We should have kicked the field goal in that situation.
Yeah, Brian, right here. After the game, you said you couldn't tell whether Barry and Brown scored or not. Did you look at the film, and what do you think looking at the film? And has the SEC said anything to you about that?
We have talked to the SEC about it. John McDay, the supervisor of officials, and I had a conversation about it. I think it was extremely productive in all areas. This thing has kind of gotten away from us a little bit, with so many replays in the NFL, and it's kind of trickled down to college football. Are you a runner or are you a catcher of the football? And kind of putting a burden on the wide receiver. The wide receiver has to catch the football. He then is a runner and then he's got to survive the ground. You saw earlier, Caden Durham came over the goal line and hit the ground, the ball popped out. Well, a runner doesn't have the same burden as a wide receiver. So, there is conversation about how we can make this cleaner, for sure, because clearly from a common sense standpoint, that doesn't make much sense. So the rule was applied correctly by the letter of it, but rules are made to be changed. and so hopefully down the road, I think there'll be some changes in the way that is looked at. But the crew administered the protocols and procedures the right way on that play.
Coach, how rewarding is it when transfers that you went out and got, you and your staff, make an immediate impact, like Mansour Delane, who got the game ball, and Braylon Moore getting the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week, making an immediate impact?
Yeah, we're happy for those guys. There's no question. But Mansour, I thought, was very articulate in his post-game talk, and his interception was because we were doing the right things up front, and he got that. And I think that's the point I wanted to make. Braylon was the same way when he was named SEC Lineman of the Week. He said, I've never had this kind of trust with the guys next to me. And so going into the portal, we were looking for those kind of guys. That wanted to be here for a championship, that weren't in it for the individual accolades. And I'm great. To me, I think our guys want to be the reason that we're having success, but know that they're not the only reason that we're having success, right? So I think that those are the kind of guys that we got, and we're seeing that come to fruition. Now, we're going to have to handle adversity during the year. We're going to have to handle injuries during the year. There's other things that will come in front of us, but for the first entry into this, it was a good weekend for us.
A coach over here, Jordan Gilbert had to step up and get the start in the first half. Just assess his play, and just we gave the game ball to Mansour Delane, but just the overall success of the defensive backs.
Yeah, Jordan is that kind of guy. He's a great leader. He's a veteran. When we found out about AJ, obviously, we immediately thought, let's get somebody on the field that has done this before. And his experience showed. He was physical, communicated effectively, did a really good job, and he's such a valuable piece to what we're doing.
Coach, right back here behind Mike. Dabos, when he said that this was like a final exam on day one of class, and said that he would have given LSU a 65 and Clemson a 58 because neither played great. Just wondering how you would have graded or assessed the team in their first game of the year.
Well, I thought we dominated him in the second half. So he's either a really good grader for giving himself a 58, or he's a really hard grader on us, or he didn't see the second half, which that might be the case. He might not have wanted to see the second half. So, again, look, this is all past. We're much more focused on Louisiana Tech, to be quite honest with you, and Clemson is a darn good football team. That's a really good. That's a top-notch team, and they're going to be a team in the hunt for a playoff picture, and we hope we are too. But it was only one game, so I don't know if he's a hard grader or an easy grader, but I like the way we played in the second half.
And we are emulating Dabo Swinney. This is what he needs to put on when he's watching the tape. Dabo, you got a goose egg in the second half. Thought it was a pretty good response on the spur of the moment, JP. But look, we have fun with sunglasses, and when LSU loses, we play them. So, Dabo, we have the sunglasses on because obviously you were clueless and blind on Saturday night. Your impressions real quick. Death Valley Junior, Death Valley Clemson. I appreciate some of the traditions, but it can't hold a candle to the real Death Valley.
Well, that's it, but man, people gave Brian Kelly heat because they put the 1-0 on their shirt before the game, and you get embarrassed and you lose that game. Well, that's really embarrassing because it was a 1-0 on the shirts pre-game, but it was okay to call yourself Death Valley until you played LSU. You should have took it off the moniker. Should have never been lit up in lights. And everybody was talking about it. And you should have not put that pressure on yourself. There's no comparison to LSU a Saturday night in Death Valley. 100,000 plus has been drinking since 8 o'clock in the morning, camped out since Thursday night. It doesn't compare. You can run down the hill, touch the rock. I was impressed nobody fell, but man, honestly, that's impressive. I like your tradition. Stick to your own traditions. Don't try to compare yourself to LSU. You're not in the same league. Dabo Swinney, I'll tell you what, we like to give Coach BK a hard time, and we try to make jokes, and not a lot of people laugh, but this one was good. He got you, brother. Maybe you didn't want to watch second half. Think your team only had like 14 yards rushing in the second half, Dabo. That's not going to get it done, brother. Take your L like a man. Great to have LSU back with the defense. We'll take the shades off, and we come back, let you hear from Louisiana coach Sonny Cumbie, and also a little Kellen Moore to get you fired up. Saints play Sunday at home against Arizona. Back with more on a Wednesday edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
Move and be moved by these savings right now at Team Mazda. Choose a new 25 Mazda CX-50, Mazda CX-70, or Mazda CX-90 and get low 1.9% financing. Discover the Mazda experience and save right now at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
And a joyous Wednesday afternoon, September 3rd. Hope everybody doing well. Once again, NFL football starts tomorrow night. LSU, 6:30, SEC Network Plus, ESPN Network Plus. Sonny Cumbie, the coach of Louisiana Tech, just a little quick appetizer about the Bulldogs coming in here. They shut out Southeastern 24-0 last weekend. Here's Sonny talking to his media.
Anytime that you have a group of competitors and a group of fighters like our football team is, they're going to be excited about playing again. We have 11 more games that are on our schedule. We want to earn the rest of them. They're all important. And the most important thing that we have really in front of us is our preparation. And so a Tuesday practice today for us, an opportunity to get better in some of those areas we talked about, and to continue to develop our football team as we go through this season, as we get better every single day. So we're excited about what had happened. We're excited about this week. It's a huge challenge. It's a great football team. Defensively, they're big and fast. They really don't have any weaknesses from a personnel standpoint. They flew around the football really well against Clemson. Offensively, very explosive at the skill positions. Garrett Nussmeier is probably the best quarterback in the country. I mean, you watch him play. He's a coach on the field, and from the standpoint of getting them in and out of protections, moving, changing, all the different things they do at the line of scrimmage that he does. And so it'll be a great challenge, but I know that our kids will be excited, and we're going to prepare them to the best of our abilities this week and get better as a football team.
You guys head down to LSU as 37.5-point underdog.
underdogs. Does that change the goal of the game plan going into Saturday night?
You know what? The only reason I would even know that is you brought it up. And our football kids probably see those types of things, but I try to live in a bubble, and I'm looking about Tuesday's practice and how can we improve our football team? How do we continue to develop our defensive line? How do we continue to play at a high level at linebacker? How do we continue to improve and develop those young corners that showed, Amari Butler, Cam Carter, J.T. Jackson? Those are the known commodities. Jamal Shelby played really well. Seth Woods playing really well, and so how do we continue to get those guys better from the standpoint of practice, the development of our team, the game plans that we'll have, in all these games, your margin for error is very small, and you have to maximize your opportunities, and how we do that is just to be our best. That's what I ask our kids, is to be your best, be our best, and go out and play Saturday night, against a really good team. But I really love our team and how competitive our team is, and the fight that we have, and also the talent in our room. So, it'll be a good challenge, but, whether we're underdogs or whether we're picked to win a game, the relevancy on a Tuesday afternoon practice is very minimal.
Sonny Cumbie has done a good job for Louisiana Tech in year 4. LSU, however, is a 37.5-point favorite. JP, I don't think the LSU fan could have drawn it up any better after everybody had crowned Arch Manning the next Messiah and next coming of Tim Tebow or whatever great quarterback. Hell, Coach O even had a faux pas a couple of weeks ago and compared Arch Manning to Joe Burrow, and I got a little bit spicy because that's ridiculous to talk about comparing with Joe Burrow. But Arch in Texas started off, JP, and basically laid an egg. Steve Sarkisian looked like he was lost. He's usually a great play caller. That was not one of his better games, and Arch Manning's got a long way to go. He will be good, but a lot of this hype has been because of the last name on his jersey.
Yeah, Bud, man, truly, I think it's unfair to put that much pressure on a kid. Look, you're facing the defending champs, at their place in week 1. I mean, the time is not there with the receivers. You haven't played a real game yet. This kid's played like 4 quarters of college football, played 2-way high school football at Newman. They don't have a real tough schedule in Louisiana high school sports. Look, I thought above all else, man, this was evidence that Arch Manning should come back another year for college and then try his hand at the pros. He'll be the first quarterback taken that season. He'll have time to develop, no doubt, but Garrett Nussmeier in a class of his own. He knew where every check down was, knew where all the dump loss plays were. He got to plays the team in the right run plays. He had the right run fits, help with the offensive line and get protection. So Garrett Nussmeier mentally head and shoulders above Arch Manning, but that's okay. Arch Manning has time to develop.
The second dot that was connected was Alabama. And, look, I'm not as bad as some of the other shock jocks in this town that have a great despising hatred for Alabama. But, JP, they just looked all out of sync. And Ty Simpson, I'm licking – if I'm the LSU defense, I'm licking my chops when you send all that speed blitzing on Ty Simpson. Do they come back? Do they have 9-3, 10-2, or do you think this is an 8-4 Alabama team?
I think the momentum's rolling against Kalen DeBoer right now. It's going to be tough for those kids not to hear all the noise outside that locker room and be influenced that he's not losing the team. Coach Nick Saban would have never coached all those 5-star players and had them give that effort on the field. Florida State, more physical at the line of attack on both sides of the football, something you never see from an Alabama team. I think the reign is over. Everybody in media is saying the reign is over, so those kids can take it 2 ways. It's then Alabama against the world or it's Alabama against themselves. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's a leadership in that locker room amongst the players to get the course, the ship on the right course.
You do social media a lot more than I do, but somebody was telling me Alabama had players dancing in the locker room after the loss. That is not a good sign. LSU made just Saturday night with the victory 17-10. In my opinion, it should have been 24-10 with the touchdown taken off the board. But here is the cherry on top of the banana split and the ice cream. Notre Dame laying an egg. Not necessarily an egg, but getting beat by the U. Miami. Look, Mario Cristobal is not the greatest offensive coach, but they deserve that win. Mike Denbrock just calling too many run-pass plays for the quarterback, and so Notre Dame already. So Texas, Alabama, and Notre Dame all losing the opening weekend. of college football. That's a great weekend for Tiger fans.
Yeah, but man, momentum obviously already rolling for the LSU fans looking towards the postseason. You got to go 1-0 each week. That's the moniker. It wasn't just for the Clemson game. Got to focus each and every week on the opponent in front of you. Get your preparation done at practice. Take care of your business the way you know you're supposed to, and you'll have a fine week. La Tech, Bud, man, 37.5-point underdogs. Hope everybody stays healthy. Got to get through the game. Everybody standing upright. Looking forward to that Florida game, but don't sleep on those Bulldogs. They're coming in with something to prove.
You want to give us a little Kellen Moore? Let's give it a little couple minutes. We got a couple, 3 minutes with Kellen Moore, the Saints coach, once again debuting his team Sunday in the Dome against Arizona at noon. Here's Coach Kellen Moore with the Saints.
All right, guys. Good weekend for our players. The chance for them to kind of get away. Obviously, a number of them saw their college teams, which is always the fun part of this weekend. Some wins, some losses in there, but a lot of good stuff for everyone. And so, roster-wise, we had some challenging things to navigate. The last 24 hours. We released JT Gray, which was one of the hardest things so far in this year, and so that was a really challenging move. He's a really good special teams player. He's a really good player. He's done a lot of good things here, and it was a really challenging decision that we had to make. And then we did sign Kozai Izzard to a practice squad. He came from Kansas City. He's defensive tackle. He did training camp with them. He did some awesome stuff in preseason. We evaluated him, and so just as we continue to navigate some of the roster moves, there's obviously challenging things that come up, and so we're excited for this week, though. We're excited to get into this thing. The guys were in today. We were able to get some really good field work in. They went weight room, went into some field work where it's really almost like a phase 2 day, like in the off-season programs, where we were able to get a bunch of field work done, throwing individual drills, get into a little bit of a walkthrough, and put them in position to be ready to roll on Wednesday. So I'll open up to any questions.
What's the challenge with how Arizona uses their safeties and the way they rotate and all that?
There's a ton of flexibility within their structure, and it's really challenging because some of it feels like it's according to rules, and some of it kind of feels like it breaks rules at times. And Jonathan and those guys have done an awesome job just developing a really innovative system that really stresses you from an offense perspective. They have a lot of pieces that can play a number of different roles, and so there's some gray. I'd like to say there's a lot of gray within it, which can be challenging from an offense perspective. We're going to put a lot of time and effort into preparing this week.
Releasing JT Gray, was it because you needed other spots in the roster?
A lot of it comes down to the roster flexibility, and that's the challenging part of it. We know the high-quality player that he is, the impact he's had on this organization. He's a really good player. Just with the roster as you kind of play the roster management part of this thing over the course of this season and throughout the next few weeks, there's a lot of challenges associated with that, and so it was a really tough one for us to do.
All right, folks, late breaking news. Saints picked up Jake Haener, the third quarterback, so they will have a third emergency quarterback if needed. Of course, everybody should know Spencer Rattler is going to be starting. They did cut J.T. Gray, who is, of course, their special teams guru. So Saints, once again, on Sunday. LSU 6:30, Louisiana Tech. I like LSU 44, Louisiana Tech 13. See you next week, everybody. Tigers Roar, Pelican Sports TV.